Taiwan's unique geology has created a number of really amazing places to go and see what nature can create. And today we're in northern Taiwan to check out one of those places, Yehliu Geopark.
And we're about to go get a look at what water and wind erosion can do over years and years.
The rather unique mushroom rock formations of this park, when viewed from just the right angle, have a tendency to appear like silhouettes of everyday objects and animals.
Everybody, I'm up here on the overlook looking down at just a little tiny piece of this park. It actually goes on farther in both directions here from what you see on the screen. But you can clearly see that some nodules of rock have been exposed here, and those have eroded under the influence of wind and weather, rain, etc. And apparently they've turned into some pretty interesting shapes, and I'm going to go on down there now and take a look at them. Apparently if we look at them from just the right angle, you can kind of convince yourself you see some pretty interesting shapes. A little bit like the rock or the geologic version of cloud watching.
The rock formations of the park are very interesting, with a mushroom-like shape to them, having one type of rock at the very top held up by a stem of a different type of rock beneath. It's remarkably uniform across the park. So how did these formations come to be?
Now what's really interesting if you look behind me is that you'll notice that the tops are all right about the same height. And that's because these were actually bedded rocks many, many years ago.
The rock formations in the Geo-Park are what are called sedimentary rocks. Now, these rocks form underwater over long periods of geologic time. And because they form by the settling of sediments, these layers are always horizontal. We call this phenomenon Steno's law of original horizontality. Now, imagine if two layers of rock were deposited where there was a tougher layer above a lower layer that wasn't quite so resistant to erosion. Now, over time, geologic forces can bend, tilt, and push these rocks up and out of the ocean into the open air, where they're subject to erosion from natural forces. Forces like wind and rain, waves, and other types of weather. As time passes, our tougher layer of rock has weathered, but small pieces of it may remain, little pieces that were tougher or thicker than average. And notice what they do. Those remaining fragments of the upper layer create a barrier that protects portions of the softer rock beneath. So, as wind and rain continue to weather that softer rock even faster, we get these interesting mushroom formations that are characteristic of the rocks at Yehliu Geopark.